That's it. So when we need to move, we go and we come back. If you have a pressing question, maybe it's better to stop. I will not answer straight away. Yes. Or if you have a question, but it's not sufficient to break, then you just write it down. Because otherwise, I will tell you something, you will forget, and it will go down the drain again. So it's better to write. Very often it's better. And it will help you, well, maybe observe how you react to that. What are the ideas you have at the moment when I'm speaking something. Yes? Okay. Oh, let's go. I prefer to be the other way because the button is the other side.
The other way. We can't see it that far away anyway, so it doesn't matter.
So, yes, I said this is a bit personal. It's my understanding, it's my work, so of course I'm a bit attached to it, but I have worked on it and discussed it so many times that I am ready to discuss it with anyone.
We can all see it.
I have strong opinions, of course, being who I am, but it's fine, okay? So, an eye-opening. It's interesting that you understand where I come from, why it is that I am so interested in the technique. Is that at first I had no lessons. I read the books for many years and without having lessons, and I became fascinated by the concept of conscious guidance and control. That was the thing that drew me into it. And then when suddenly it became possible, 14 years later, 14 years of reading the books, I decided to train. So I ran like at school. The first one I found, Yellow Papers, and I wanted to train to become a teacher because I thought it was the best way to, in fact, learn the business of conscious guidance and control. And I discovered that it was not exactly like that it was going, so I had a few lessons. They told me I needed some lessons before training, and so I had a few lessons. I was not at all satisfied by the lesson. It seems all very new age and feeling and all this, nothing of conscious guidance and control. The teacher, the lady teacher, she didn't know the books as well as me. When I asked a question about the book, she didn't answer. She said it was only the experience. I just judged the situation by thinking that person has no clue. I don't know where she's coming from. I don't care. I want to train the true Alexander technique. So 2 months later, I started the training. They didn't even realize I didn't have the 20 lessons they requested. They could not judge how I was moving and if I had many lessons or not, which seems strange to me. And so, a big mistake because there was this project that we needed in that school. There was a school project, and we needed to construct. And for me, it was absolutely clear. It was like a doctorate. When you do a doctorate, you have to produce some piece of writing or some essay, something. And so I decided to translate the books into French, the 4. And I translated the 4 books. And so I had to deal with the text and to deal with Alexander's habit of what we call neologism. Neologism is a word that means that you're creating a new word. Neo is new, and neologism is a new word. Alexander is not creating new words. Alexander is doing much worse. He's using old words, and he's putting new meaning into it, which is very, very confusing, as you will see. Many times there are sentences where the risk of confusion is enormous.
Why would he have done that? Why would he? Did you have a?
Yes, I have an idea. It's a misconception on his part, and it's the fact that he had no formal schooling. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
He's and so. Why the misconception is a concept that he has is what he calls expansive ideas.
Uh-huh.
He has this notion that it's possible to give more meaning to a word.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on the experience you have, you will get more meaning. What he doesn't realize is that all the other people that are using the same word are going straight away to form a misconception of what you're doing, because the meaning you give to the word is not the one they have already. And is very, very poor at defining properly. Or he does something that is very strange. He starts the book and makes like very, very strong statements of technique, and the definition of the words is 200 pages later. He expects that people have the same verbal memory as he has. We know that Alexander was able to, in fact, tell 6 or 7 Shakespeare plays by mind. You know? His memory of words was absolute. For us, modern people, absolutely incredible. You know, you can't even start to understand how his mind was working, because you cannot do what he can. You cannot think orders in the way he can, and because you haven't got the memory for it. Simply. Yeah. So he expects people to do the work, which people will never do. So we end up with a world of confusion, where, and also, so the neologism is one problem. The second problem with books is that Alexander has been influenced by Dewey, and out of a good idea, he's made something that has become a nightmare. I will explain. Dewey had conception of education where, instead of doing the solution of the problem for the pupil, you help the pupil solve the problem, which is fantastic. Alexander took the wrong side of that, because he said that sometimes, Dewey says, that sometimes it's even interesting to propose wrong solution and correct solution, and so that the pupil has the two at his disposal, and can then make a judgment on which one to use. So very often, Alexander is going to drop a bomb somewhere that is evidently in opposition to the whole chapter he's writing. Socrates did that. Yes, it was a technique, a philosophical technique, and so if you read the books, they are book readers. The book readers, what they go into the book, and they want to take what they want, what fits with their own ideas.
Yeah.
So if you get these readers that are using the books to promote their things.
Sorry, what's that? Book raided?
Raiders. Like someone who invades and steals.
And steals things that without working to understand what it is they steal. Yes?
Okay.
It's just that what they steal fits with. So we have this difficulty with the books. Yes? So the books require work.
Yeah.
You can't read the books of Alexander like you would read any book.
Yeah.
Yes? And you have to situate, locate, and contextualize everything he says all the time. Because there are some people who say, yes, but he said there that without the feeling of it, you can't get the concept.
Exactly.
Okay? In which chapter is it? What is the chapter about? Is it not totally against what he's saying? Well, yes, it is. But he's saying it. Yes, he's saying it, but the whole chapter, so you have if you work statistically, you think, okay, there is 95% of this and only 5% of that. Are they compatible? No. So you have to make a choice. Which one do you want? This one or this one? So if you make the choice, you have to understand the choice you're making. What you're letting aside, conscious guidance and control, for example, is an expression that doesn't exist in the modern Alexander technique. Yes, you understand? And so there are choices that have been made. You may agree, you may not. But you have to understand where it comes from. It comes from Alexander's habits. And these habits were also part of his teaching method. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember, Roger de Best was the best friend of Alexander, had I don't know how many hundreds of lessons. His two children were with the little school from the start. He was really helping Alexander in many different ways, and he was very, very critical of his syndrome of persecution, syndrome of as if he was in fact giving his technique. So
Who
he tried-
was?
Sorry,
Who was?
it's Roger the Best.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was he criticizing Alexander for?
For his, what do you call when somebody is always thinking that you're going to steal from them?
Oh,
Paranoid.
Paranoid. It's paranoia. Yeah. So yes, Alexander was like paranoid. Very often I had lessons with Walter Carrington because Walter Carrington had a very strong relationship with Alexander. So I said to him, I don't need really the lessons, you understand, but I'm really interested in the text. I'm translating the book, so could you make an exchange? I pay the lesson for you. You give me the lesson, but we discuss the Alexander technique. Why not? No problem. And so I would quit very often because it was very difficult. When you saw first generation teachers, when you had lessons with them, I can tell you how difficult it was to get answers about the books. They didn't know, they didn't want questions. It was very, very difficult. And it was like if asking a question about something Alexander had said was a problem. Yes? And no, it's in the experience. Shut up, young man. I've heard that, shut up, young man. Which is a very strange way of giving a lesson. Yes? And so, you are in your head is also something I've heard. Yeah. And so there is a theory and there is a practice. You have to understand that we have to build a bridge from the theory to the practice, and that's how Alexander defined this technique. I'm not ashamed of my behavior in any way, yeah, because the technique is presented in that way. And the technique has not been invented by the first generation teacher, it has been invented by Alexander. Okay? So that explains where I stand, how this started. Yes, I started to be disappointed, very disappointed. At the end of my 3 years training, I had learned a dance of the hands that I'm very critical. So you take it down the drain, you know. And then I knew nothing about conscious guidance and control. Nothing. If I know something of conscious guidance and control, it's from self-work. It's not from my teachers. I respect them. They wanted to do good. They saw that they were giving the right thing. I'm not angry with them. I'm angry with the state of the system. Yes? Different. Okay? I have no personal animosity with any of the teacher I'm going to criticize like if I wanted to kill them. No. It's just criticism. It's just on the matter of ideas. The matter of ideas is central to the Alexander technique, and that's what I want to show you. Okay? So, eye-opening. Sometimes you open your eyes onto something you don't want to see, or into something that is not pleasant. It's eye-opening. So, I started with a little sentence here. So I need to turn myself to see it. Yes. There is no poise without psychomechanical understanding. That's a very strong statement that I'm making. No, I'm not making it. I'm just using the sentence Alexander has written himself. This is not
the video
from me.
seems to have gone off, is it?
Sorry?
What happened to the video?
It's okay. The video is fine, and you see the red light, so it's fine. It's just that your screen is dark, so that the computer doesn't spend energy for that. Okay? So, the consciously controlled mechanisms are essential for successful inculcation of the principle of free expression. and all it connotes. So we are in a chapter where Alexander is talking about the principle of free expression. So let me explain a few things about free expression. A free gestural expression, the capacity to sit in any way you want, the capacity to perform gestures, the capacity to express, so for example in a theatrical environment, to express different attitude to the public. Alexander comes from that background. Okay, you need to express to the public an emotion that is only vehiculated by your gesture. You can say, for example, that you're in love, and at the same time show the public that you're lying. So you have to understand that there are different languages in the actor world. There are the language that you say, and at the same time there is a language that you show. And free expression is the capacity to mix the two. This is pure Delsart system. Yes, the Delsart system is about free expression does not exist without rules, without laws, without conscious effort, without the calculation of the mind. We are exactly in the same world here. Yes, it's said with different words, but it's the same thing. So you can imagine that if you suddenly are able to, in fact, overcome, but not overcome in the sense that you don't want it, because habit of gesture can be useful, yeah. But if you're an actor, you need to be able to overcome that habit to show a different habit, or a different gesture. Yes, free expression, in fact, is against the habit of movement that you have. It's very easy to, from there, think that you can, for example, correct what you would call a bad habit. What you decide, on your own mind, you decide, that is a bad habit, I don't want it. Maybe some people like it, but you can say to yourself, no, I need a technique, because free expression does not exist. I cannot, like this freely, say, I'm going to stop that habit, and I'm going to perform something different that I prefer. Alexander is saying, no, you can't. Yeah. You have to use a system or a technique, if you want, that will help you to stop one and start the other. Yes, that's the frame of mind. Is you will see very mechanical. Conscious guidance and control, as the fundamental in education, command the fundamentals of free expression. You can't say more clearly. Yes? Okay? The words free or freedom are herein used in their true meaning, not in their ordinary acceptation. I refer to the point of view which causes one to ask, is there such a thing as real freedom? For we know that we cannot have freedom without restraint, any more than we can have psychophysical harmony without antagonism. Blah, 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 blah. A lot of words, yes. So you think, oh dear, what is he aiming at? What is he talking about? Yes. So maybe, and it's often the case, we need another text to have more enlightenment in what he's saying here. Yes. But from the start, command the fundamentals of free expression. We want to be in command. We want to start a process by which, from the start, which is there is no free expression for the person without conscious guidance and control, so you develop conscious guidance and control, and you get to free expression. It's a means to obtaining that flexibility. Instead of having one gesture and being stuck in it, you're going to be able to play with different habits and say when you want to apply one rule, when you want to apply another. It's not about I am going to learn the right way and stop the wrong way, which is quite narrow-minded. It's much more open-minded. It's saying, I will have the choice. I will give myself the possibility of choosing what it is best for this support for me. Yeah. So that's where we are. And here there is a word I want to come back to. You will see. It's mechanisms. Mechanisms is technical. Mechanisms is something that, as a definition, we know that a mechanism is a sum of moving parts. And depending on the movement of the parts, the mechanism is going to produce a result or not. Yes? Very often people criticize Alexander for his idea of juxtaposition of machine and human body. Most people say, wow, that is really outdated. Well, it's not outdated at all. Mechanisms are made of parts. The parts have to relate together, they have to move. And of course, it's related with the mechanism, with the idea of conscious guidance and control. If you consciously guide the movement of the different parts, you will obtain something that is more, closer to the expression you want. So this idea is even stronger in another passage. So I will, by the way, I will send you all the images and the text, so that you don't have to. Or you can write down if you want, because it's good to write down, but I will send you everything, every single image that is in here, so that you can, when you are safe at home, without my pressure, you can decide, is saying this, there is the text, do I agree? Do I disagree? On what point do I agree, on what point do I disagree? So, well, yes, when we talk about mechanism, there is something frightening maybe, but there is something also reassuring, is that we are talking about something physical. We are talking about something that can be measured, yes? Mechanical principles are in fact some guesses we make on how something is going to work. Okay? If you have some current going through a wire, it will produce heat. That's what the principle says. You may disagree, but you can test. You can test, okay? You can take a wire and plug it and measure the temperature, and measure the temperature after a certain amount of time. If you find that the temperature is the same, either there is too much conduction, or your temperature tester is wrong. Yes, but there will be. You will find that yes, that a law, people are very often afraid when I say rules or laws, and they think that is very restrictive. It is not restrictive at all. It gives you a sight into the future. If I were to connect these two wires with a resisting mechanism in the middle, I get more heat. Okay? That's what the law says. Now you need to construct your thing and see if in fact it does. Most of the time it does. That's what we call a law. A law is just a guess into the future that has been tested many times. It's always possible to find conditions where you may not test it in that way, and then you will think, oh dear, there is a limitation to that law. That law is valid in these conditions, not in that. It's possible, yes, but still you are, would say, in control. Yes, you have now new ways of solving problems. You don't take a problem as if it was totally new, falling out of the sky. No, there are parts of the problem of the mechanism. Well, you have already laws to think, and I do.
Precedent.
Yeah, and I no, it's succedent. It means that I can project into the future.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of the law in the law courts,
Yeah?
where they go back to a precedent before, and that sheds light on
Yes,
the new
but I'm
situation.
looking at it in the reverse way. I'm thinking, if I have the law, I can anticipate. I can prevent something from happening later because I understand it and it hasn't even happened. And the technique, it's often the case that we are looking for things that are repetitive, constant. Constant habit is what we are looking for because that it's easy to deal with it. I have a student and she came and she said, 3 months ago, I was hiking, I had a problem here. Then 4 months later, I was going not uphill but downhill, I had a problem on the other side. I said to her, well, and it happens only in these times. Yes. I said, I can't do anything, I can't tell you anything. Why? Well, it's because I'm a specialist of repetitive things that can be prevented to happen in the future. What you're telling me is something that happens, I don't know when, I don't know where, with conditions that are so massively different that there is no way, you see? And I said, can you reproduce it? Can you show it to me? No. We have to continue with the lesson as we have started because that is unsolvable. Yeah? Laws are just applicable to repetitive things. You cannot apply a law to something that is unique. Yeah? So we have to understand that as we are all humans, all of students are humans, there are certain numbers of constants. They have a certain number of bones, their bones are attached to fascia, fascia attached to muscles, muscle to fascia, and fascia to bones again. So that is true every single time. Yes? And when they sit, they do sit every single time with the same habit. Because of that, we can prevent the reoccurrence of the habit. But if they do something once, and never, once in a while, you cannot help them. Simple. Okay? So, mechanical principles are very factual. We have something in your hands. I'm saying this because very often I've heard comments, like philosophical comments of very high level, where in fact there is absolutely no way to apply conscious guidance and control. You cannot control. Yeah?
Why?
Why? Because there is nothing to measure.
Nothing factual.
Yeah, you can only measure, you can only control what you measure. No measure, no control. In mechanics, in geometry, you measure. Yeah, measuring is, if you have to understand the word control, because sometimes you don't understand what we mean by guidance and control. You guide a movement to start where you are to a different spot. Yes? Then you can measure that. Have I reached or not? Am I too far or not? How much time did I take? This you can measure. And you want your pupil to start to deal with factual, mechanical events. Yes? You don't want your pupils to start. I remember a teacher saying that he felt with his hands the tonical flux, which is quite interesting. In fact, he was saying, if you translate into normal speech, of course, the medulla oblongata will send a certain number of electrical impulse. We know that there are about something like every second you have 200,000. This man was saying that with his hands he could present and understand that. When a scientist hear him talk, he just he doesn't react. He passes his way. He thinks that this guy is just there is no connection between the speech and the practice. Absolutely not. It's invention. It's daydreaming. It's what you want. but there is no way you can control that the guy has said something true. Maybe he's a magus, a sorcerer, which is outside of the realm of conscious guidance and control. So many people would say it doesn't exist. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's it's outside. Okay? So you here in the Alexander technique world, many things like that, or in any somatic field, it is the same. You have people, healers, you have all sorts of people that are outside of conscious guidance and control. We haven't got anything to say about it. It's not our game. We are not there. Yes? Flashing lights and fairies. Why not? I can't say it is. I say it's outside. Alexander is not there. Apparently, from what he said.
Pause to say hello to Barbara.
Hello, Barbara.
Bonjour. Bonsoir.
From the internet.
Daniel.
Daniel.
Daniel from Atlanta and Sonia.
Sonia, hola.
You know everybody else.
So we started with the idea that free expression does not exist. Alexander says in the sentence that free expression needs an understanding, a psychomechanical principle. That's how we started. Okay? And so that sentence was a bit strange, so we are just now trying to explain what he meant and what is the interest to us. Today we are doing like an overview of my understanding of these books and how it evolved into a practice. And tomorrow we'll start to take a very, very practical mechanical problem and see how we can apply what technique of inquiry in order to prevent the problem to happen. Okay? So if free expression does not exist, that means that there are mechanical defects. I will explain the jump. Free expression is the capacity to perform the movement you want to perform. Okay? You want to perform an expression of hate when you are in fact in love with a person, so that you disguise your habit and present a new gesture. Yes? It's very difficult to do. Actors have to do that. Yes? And so, or you have a certain way to sit down and you want to impress the gallery and do it in another way. Alexander said you cannot. You can only reproduce your habits unless you understand conscious guidance and control of mechanical principle. That's we started from there.
Can I just interrupt?
Yes.
There's this really interesting research about lying.
Yeah.
And it's going to affect jury systems in the future.
Yeah.
You know this stuff, that people can deceive other people very, very easily.
Yeah. And so there is an inquiries into this use of language and expression that has much anteriority, but it's got a different name in the scientific world. It's called pretense. Our children use pretense. Our pretense help children to develop, to go from one stage where they are literal to one stage where they are using language in order to explore new things. Yeah, pretense. Pretense and lying are like a similar thing, but we are not in this. We are into free expression, which means that I want to, in fact, create a gesture. I want to create a new way of moving the parts of my organism. It can be used to lying very easily, but it can be used, and this is the idea of Alexander, to help people correct their habits that are detrimental to their functioning. So Alexander, from free expression not existing as such, people cannot decide to free their neck if they so wish. No way. They have to understand the mechanism by which to free the neck, otherwise they are just thinking they are freeing their neck. In fact, they are daydreaming. That's what he says. Yes? And we will go back into that later. But so we understand that there is no free expression, and from that, if there is no free expression, people are a bit locked in their habits of movements, yes, in prison, and because of that, there are mechanical defects. Do you follow the...
Mechanical defects.
Yes, mechanical defects.
Imperfection.
Imperfection.
Okay.
Yes. Let me be brutal. Let's imagine that...
Failures. Mechanical failures.
Yeah, defects means that you're doing something in order to express position, and that thing is going to be detrimental to you. You are sitting with crossed feet like this, yes? So there are certain muscles you're using in order to do that, and other muscles are like lax, not working. For muscle, it's not very important. It's more important for fascias, for elastic system. So the elastic system at the moment have a regimen. You understand the word regimen?
A regime.
A regime, yes, a regime of functioning that is, in fact, more leading to in one direction, which means that the muscle and the tendon that should work are not, they are getting weak. The muscle that should not are getting stronger. Psychomechanically, that means that it will be very easy for you to, in fact, activate the one that has always activated, and very difficult for you and painful, and you will feel very, well, if you are asked to suddenly bring into play the one that are not working because of the habitual way of sitting, wow, it's going to be difficult. It's like going uphill, you know. So the idea that learning free expression is like freedom and everything is like Alexander called his system work. The work. Work doesn't mean leisure and pleasure and no, it doesn't mean that. It means work. It means that you have to go up. You have to go up against the hill, against your feelings, against your habits. Okay? So there are defects. Defects is, I can say that something is a defect. For example, if some muscles are underused and other muscles are overused in a critical part of the system, which is a critical part, for example, let's say that all the weight when you walk is on one ankle. So people should cherish their ankles. You understand why? You don't want to have one side of the ankle that is weak and one side that is too strong. Because, yes?
It's also a question of shortening and lengthening.
It's always.
Yeah,
Yes.
when it's weak and...
Yeah. You will find why in a second when we are going into the psychomechanical principle. I need to explain to you what I understand by this word principle. And then when you have the word principle explained, you want to have explained the word psychophysics. What's it? Just a second. Do you have a definition for psychomechanical principle? You have read the books that I have. What is your opinion? Yes?
A psychomechanical principle is, I guess it's not a concept, but it's the rule you are using to mentally represent what happens when you move. So your rules for how your body works.
That's the problem with you. I told you already. Clever. Too clever. That's exactly it.
Too clever for his own good.
No, so I have a new rule. When I ask a question, the last to answer is going to be Daniel. Okay? Because they have all got it, you know. Because if you do ask a 1,000 teacher, what is a psychomechanical principle, you will get stares. Yeah. No.
Maybe not everybody has got it.
Yes.
Can you repeat it?
Don't repeat. Don't let everybody.
I forbid you to repeat. No, it's better to listen to everybody. What is the psychomechanical principles in Alexander's books?
Well, I see a principle as a bit higher than a rule.
Yeah, and
Okay,
improve.
so principles up there and kind of rules follow from principles.
Yes.
Like,
Okay, so what is a
You can't
psychomechanical
separate.
principle?
You can't
So,
separate.
It's easy to answer the question
one
what
that
is...
involves both mind and body.
No, psychomechanical, not
Okay.
psychophysical.
Movement. Mechanical would be movement, would it, or not? Or the workings of?
How parts work.
No, go
The
on.
workings of the mind together with the body.
No, mechanical is not the body. What do you mean?
No, the mechanical would be the workings of.
Oh,
Oh,
I think psychomechanical can apply to anything, not necessarily the body. Is that what you mean? Just as a
do
term.
you mean the psycho-mind mechanical working?
I think it's in general.
No, I don't know. I'm just asking. Of course, I have a definition. I don't want to give you my definition to help you have your definition and then mix the two together. No, it's interesting that we read Alexander's books very often with this
Okay,
problem.
but where does he talk about psychomechanical principles?
Where?
Yeah.
You mean, do you want all the pages?
No,
or-
not all the pages, just one famous page that we might
Well,
remember.
the one we're using here.
Uh-huh.
Consciously conscious of the individual, page 55,
Uh-huh.
edition 1946.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there is a whole, there is half a chapter about
What's the chapter on?
free expression.
Free expression. Okay, I see.
Yeah, so
And is this the one where he talks about school children and schools that just let children run around and he doesn't like that?
that's the
Okay,
one.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the one. So, no, it's just to say that very often we are using words as very impressive expressions. And what have we got? I mean, the flesh. Okay. So if you're not Dave, if you're not him, you're different. That's it. Okay. What it means is that he has asked the question to himself. He has posed. He has tried to see an answer. He's of course worked with me, so I can hear in his answer that he's worked with me. Okay. But it's a good thing to ask yourself and think, would I ever talk about this with my pupils? I do. You see? It's just a question of frame of mind. What I mean by that is that never underestimate your pupils. Never talk garbage. Never, because sometimes, you understand what I mean? Garbage is like there are sentences prepared and you heard them all the time and you just deliver. The guy is having a lesson and you deliver. Yes. It passes the time. I call that garbage. Because the words are not defined. Yes. Inhibition or non-doing is the... no, I'm sorry. I will make another sentence. I will make stop doing the wrong thing, the right thing will do itself. That's garbage. Why? Because there is no content, specific content, and there is no contextualization. Where Alexander did say that, why did he say what has it got to do with the chapter he's writing? He said that, and the person is incapable. And the person is incapable of saying in which case this applies, and which are the cases it's obvious that is absolutely stupid. It doesn't apply to every situation and every condition. Everybody understand that. One will explain, but it's very important to make sense to your pupil, because otherwise what you're doing is not rational.
Did he actually say that? I thought it was an urban myth.
No, I'm talking about what he wrote.
Did he write, stop doing the wrong thing, the right thing will do itself?
It's not exactly the sentence he wrote, but you can think that
He did not. He never wrote that. Did he?
he wrote something.
I
else.
checked the collation of the texts.
Yeah.
And I asked on the Facebook group and nobody answered me.
I answered myself when you
Oh,
asked.
did you?
Yeah. No, I answered not to the group. I just saw the question and I said, of course it is.
You thought it was a quote from somebody. You thought it was a
It's
quote from one of his friends as a joke.
No.
Well,
Well,
Anthony Kingsley says,
Yeah.
Anthony Kingsley says, once upon a time, Alexander was in a class and he said, by Jove, if you stop doing the wrong thing, the right thing will do itself.
Yes.
And the fact that Anthony Kingsley reports this as oral tradition, and the fact that in English he puts "by Jove" in
Yeah.
front of it indicates to me it's a joke.
It's a joke. Yeah.